As a part of the surveys we've been we've heard several issues that we've been considering as we incorporate revised design for the Phase 1 park. First, Boulevard of the Arts. We've heard some concerns about the existing medians and the trees that are in them. Will those medians be staying or will they be removed? We've heard some questions about the Sunset Boardwalk. How big is it? How tall is it? How close does it come to our neighbors to the south and Van Wezel to the north? We've heard questions about the beach at the end of Boulevard of the Arts and what will the use be in the future for that beach. We've heard questions about where will people park and how will folks access, where will people be dropped off at the Phase 1 park. And then lastly, operations at the park. What will the hours of operations be? What kind of events will be there? And those kinds of questions.
Hi, I'm Gina Ford. I'm a landscape architect and principal and the lead designer for our design team. From the beginning of this process, community feedback has been really central to the way we think about this project. The recent round of feedback that Bill just covered really has served as a foundation for us to adapt and move forward the Phase 1 plan, and we think it's gotten even more rich because of that great input. Just as a step back, Phase 1 has always intended to be an experimental space, one where we can really test ideas for the future, test new programs, test ideas. And so it's great to hear from the community and learn about what their desires are, what their concerns are, because this is going to be a long process of constantly evolving and trying ideas and adapting. The vision for Boulevard of the Arts is this incredibly lush green corridor that really celebrates the pedestrian and vehicular experience of arriving at the bayfront. So as Bill mentioned, there were concerns about circulation, around the quality and character of Boulevard of the Arts, which is a really essential urban corridor, and address for many people. And so as you can see in the before and after, our previous plan really looked at tightening that. That would have caused the removal of some vegetation that's really near and dear to many's hearts. So we've really moved back to a cross-section and a configuration of Boulevard of the Arts that honors that existing landscape and the big majestic trees that line it. Now we're talking about really strategic pedestrian improvements, better crossings, shorter distances for walking, and just a better pedestrian environment. We've also looked critically at parking and drop-off and parking supplies just to make sure, both at a small scale, zooming in on the parking immediately around Phase 1, and then zooming out again and looking strategically at the whole master plan and the future vision, that we're providing enough parking and access and circulation that really works fluidly and functionally for everyone. The vision for the Sunset Boardwalk is really thinking about a walkway that can engage with all of these different natural environments, the living shoreline, the seagrasses, the mangrove, providing a really intimate and beautiful and sculptural experience of the bay. Another kind of significant round of concerns from the community, as are ours, frankly, has always been around ecological sensitivity, and that we're really being as delicate as we can in the way we design and construct this landscape to honor the bay's resources, as well as those of the mangrove that lines the northern edge of Phase 1. And so our Sunset Boardwalk has really evolved into something that's much more delicate, much more sensitive. We have these small-scale 12 feet wide bridges that really connect over the seagrasses, that allow light to penetrate through, that will really signal to users that they're crossing through something sensitive, a sensitive environment. That's the same for the way that that landscape passes through the mangrove. We've also looked carefully and critically at the beach landscape, knowing that the word beach conjured for many people, beach blankets and umbrellas, and we always imagined really a more living shoreline, something that was ecologically rich with seagrasses and shells, a much more kind of rocky space that you could bring kids down to learn about the natural heritage of the bay. And so we've adapted the plan, as you can see in our before and after drawings, to be more expressive of that idea of kind of an ecological shoreline. The vision for the lawn is really this idea of a flexible canvas, sort of platform for ever-changing events, for art and pop-up small-scale performance and movie nights. We are really excited about one development We have now shifted the food and beverage facility, a kind of grand porch now that sits at the high point of our site on the kind of eastern edge. This shift honors again the Boulevard of the Arts landscape and gives it its space and its preservation of its character, while now allowing the entire space to have this incredible long view down the lawn of the bay and of the sunset, which has always been a really critical driver. And so we can imagine people eating and dining and sitting and really celebrating that long view. At the same time, because of all of these shifts and adaptations and changes, our lawn, which is really kind of the flexible heart of phase one, has become something more right-sized, we think, to this first phase. It's about 1.5 acres, where previously it was about 2.5 acres. And so we think that size will work really well for the kinds of smaller scale movie nights and events and picnicking that we imagine to happen in phase one. It also really complements the longer term vision, where we'll imagine a much more active event lawn as part of the future Performing Arts Center. And so this really gives us something much more small and intimate to really test ideas in this first phase.